Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with a review for Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15, episode 2. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys. So the show starts with, all of the ladies. They are at Ross's 40th birthday party that Sonya is giving for him. And of course, remember, they had just told Sheree that Martel had reached out to Kenya in her DMs, and they're having that conversation. And of course, we still got Kandi over there about to headbutt this bitch. Kandi is so pissed, and it is so funny to see how quickly she let that girl get up under her skin. Quit bucking at her. Oh, no, I'm sorry, bouncing at her. It sounded like belching last week, but this week is bouncing. But anyway, back over there with Kenya. So Sheree was just like, okay, if that's what you're saying that he's doing, let's call him over. He's here. We can get this squashed or, confirmed right away. Well, you guys know Martel. Martel is with the shits. I said Martel might found his new home, being able to argue. Martel is Peter 2.0, okay? Now, a lot of men ain't gonna sit there and just continue to get into it with women, but I think Martel is that person. So they call Martel over and they telling him, there's rumors going around that you're seeing other women here in Atlanta. And he was just like, no, when I come to Atlanta, I'm only with Sheree. So Sheree was just like, y'all ain't fixed to ruffle her feathers. And Martel told Monietta, he don't no more discussion about that. He ain't got nothing else to say about it. Meanwhile, Sonya is over there trying to talk to the new girl, Courtney. Marlo was just like, these bitches over here fighting like they J-Lo and Mariah. Okay. The whole I don't know her. Because Kandi was just like, I don't know you, and I never tried to look up nothing on you. So, Sonya is talking to Courtney and trying to calm Courtney down because Courtney is really feeling herself over there. Then she finally goes and finds Kandi, and she was asking Kandi, is she okay? And Kandi was just like, yes, I'm okay. But who is that? Sonya was like, oh, no, girl. That is not my friend. That actually is Sheree's friend. I met her over at Sheree's house the other day, but I told her that she needed to calm down, that she was, she was tripping and that she needed to chill. And Kandi was just like, oh, so you knew about this girl? You knew that she had a problem with me? You didn't tell me anything about it? Kandi was feeling like she was blindsided. In Sonya's defense, nobody knew that this girl was going to show up there doing all of that. Okay? I guess in hindsight, she could have told Kandi, but I don't think that this was that big of a deal for Kandi to get upset. But anyway, when she told her that she was Sheree's friend, Don Juan in the middle of everything. Oh, well, that's why. That's why, because she's Sheree's friend. Okay? Why is Don in the middle of this? Child, Don, all the other men over there talking about Hennessy and cigars, and Don is wrapped up in the damn drama with Kandi and Courtney and Sonya and all that. Why you over here with them, Don? That's the reason why they say Don always want to argue with women too. Because you be right up there with them. Go sit your ass down, Don, somewhere. So you guys know how they always get all the cast together when they having parties like this, because they need to be able to separate them from the real party that's going on when they actually do have a real party. So they all kind of separate and are over in this other room. And we still continuing this conversation about Martel and Sheree and his women in Atlanta. Kenya was just like, why is Courtney here? Okay, because she upsetting me and my homegirls. Courtney stays for now. Sonya, she had went and had a outfit change. So she comes back like, look, outfit number 2, And, but they ain't trying to talk about all that. They trying to get down to the bottom of this Martel, Sheree, Kenya shit. She was just like, girl, I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all later. They was like, why you leaving? She was like, this is my husband's birthday party, honey. Okay, that's way more important than whatever y'all talking about. Plus, she spent a whole bunch of fucking money on this. We ain't fixing to be arguing in this room with you all night. So then we start up again about this damn DM. Okay? So Sheree was just like, okay, so Kenya, the DM that you sent, that you got, when was it? She says at least 6 months ago. Okay. But yeah, she did get it. Okay, well, let me see what you got. So she opens up what she has. And of course, remember what she had was gone because apparently Martel had deleted it. But Martel on his end, they look at Martel's phone and we kind of see just part of the conversation. And Sheree was just like, she's laughing at all of this because Martel had already told her that he had DM'd Kenya. I said, when? Because you never said that before. Okay. But she supposedly already knew about this, and this is why she's laughing to herself about it, because her and Martel already spoke. You know, no secrets between the two of them. So Kenya putting 20 on 10 is what Sheree says. And honestly, I do believe that she's putting 20 on 10 too. I mean, I do believe totally that if Martel did reach out to Kenya, that he was opening the door just to see if she was interested. And no, what he said didn't sound like it was flirtatious, but it could have led to the fact that he's reaching out meant that he had some interest. You know, he was just maybe trying to see what was up with Kenya. Kenya didn't ever respond, and so he moved on. Like, I mean, you know, I don't think that there's anything bad with that. But, you know, of course, Kenya is going to make it worse because she don't like Martel. You know, her and Sheree have a checkered past. And, of course, she is Kandi's homegirl, and she's going to be on that side of everything. So it's not that big of a deal is what I'm saying. It's just that they're making it bigger. So anyway, they see that it was 2 years ago. Sheree was like, oh, but see, you said 6 months. She was like, I said at least 6 months. Martel was just like, she probably accept everybody's messages. Like, I bet you look at all her messages, her DMs. I bet you she accept every one of them. And so then Kenya felt away because she felt like he was calling her a hoe. And so then apparently Martel, I didn't hear it in the confusion, but apparently Martel must have said to her that he don't give a fuck even if he tried to fuck her 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago, you know, ain't got nothing to do with today. Okay. And so when he said that, then Kenya got upset, and Kenya was like, did you just curse at me? I thought maybe he had said something and called her maybe a bitch or called her out of her name, because she was like, did you curse at me, this queen that's standing in front of you? I was just like, okay, so here we really about to just pour this on. And you guys wanted Portia to come back with her new husband on this show, and y'all Kenya lovers out there was telling me how Kenya was not going to give Portia no blues about what happened with her and Simon. You guys have got to be kidding me. The way they riding Martel and Sheree, honey, that's exactly why Portia didn't come back. Portia probably eventually will be back on this show, but she knew not to come while that shit was fresh. Now everybody accepts the fact that Portia's a married woman, and she's with Simon and everything. But if Portia would have came back in the midst of all of that confusion when her and that guy got together, man, they would have rolled the fuck out of her. So don't even sit there and tell me that Kenya is above it, because the way that she acting with Martel and going off and pushing his buttons, like she knew the buttons to push. First of all, it's not that hard. We've seen it on Love and Marriage Huntsville. We know how he is. And the fact that this woman is even talking to him this way, she already knew that he was going to respond the way that he did. So that's why Kenya did that. So then Kenya, you know, yelling out, once a cheater, always a cheater, and all of that. Girl, you are really putting a lot on this too. And you started up with that your man is aggressive shit again. Kenya does this every season, because Kenya now has gotten to the point where because of the shit that she went through with Mark, now she feels like every black man, I guess, is supposed to just be docile and not ever raise their voice, not ever get mad, not ever... You know, so now I understand why it happens. You know, you build a wall. You think that everybody, you know, every man, you already feeling like, you know, you already on the defensive. I get it. But what I'm saying is not every black man that raises their voice is abusive. Okay? It's just, they're not. The difference with the Ross situation and the Martel situation is that Ross... Still, I will never say that Ross was being aggressive to her. Okay? I'm sorry, the word is aggressive, not abusive. But I never felt that Ross was being aggressive to her. Ross was just making a point. He could have done it a different way, but I still didn't think that he was doing anything where Kenya should have felt threatened. We will always have to agree to disagree on that, because you guys don't agree with me on that. But the difference this time is that Martel was right up on Kenya. So he was being aggressive towards Kenya. But I still don't think that she can just automatically assume that he is aggressive and abusive just because he was raising his voice at her. You are yelling at him. So, of course, people are human. They're going to have a reaction to you, Kenya. Yeah, she got upset about the fact that he cursed at her and everything. And Sheree was like, yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll have a talk with him about that. But still, you guys are, you know, you are really doing a lot. Yeah, I'm going to be tired of Kenya with this you know, oh, he's aggressive, he's a man and didn't talk to you a certain way and blah, blah, blah. And you guys, trust me, I don't like being disrespected. And there's plenty of conversations that you can have with your mate, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever. There's plenty of conversations where it don't have to get abusive. But when you arguing, when you in a moment when it's bad like that, of course people gonna yell. Okay? That don't mean that it's abuse. Doesn't mean it. So I'm tired of this thing with Kenya. Because it was just like, girl, any man you see, you think the minute they say something to you that you don't like, that they being aggressive. Girl, go somewhere. So anyway, when Sheree and Martel get in the car, of course, Martel's just like, what was that? I said, this is Real Housewives of Atlanta, sweetheart. You're going to have to get used to this. Okay, this is what we do on this show. Later, Sonya and Kandi go out to eat, and apparently they've been hanging out together outside of the show. Like, the families went to Disney together and they had a great time. Apparently Kandi had asked all the wives if they wanted to come, but Sonya was the only one that agreed. So they all went. They had a great time. But anyways, they've been very busy. BravoCon apparently was happening that week, so they were going to be going to that. Kandi, on top of BravoCon and everything else, she has all her businesses. She's trying to do that. And then all of a sudden, Todd got all these contracts and businesses and projects that he's working on that he wants Kandi to help support him. She's telling Sonya how he feels unsupported and feels like he always supporting her. So now she's got to try to do the same. And Sonya said she understood, that I said, Sonya, your situation and Kandi's situation ain't the same though. Kandi said she just wants Todd to know that she's doing the best she can. I think Todd knows that. He knows who he married. Okay, you have a highly ambitious wife that has goals in place. Okay, so you're going to get with the program, because you're going to probably always come second to that career when you marry somebody like that. What else has been going on? Sonya asked her how did she enjoy the party, and Kandi said, well, she had a good time until she wasn't having a good time no more because, oh girl, belching at her, bouncing at her, bucking at her, whatever the word you want to use. And Kandi didn't understand what was going on. Oh, this is the conversation actually that they had where Kandi and her talk about whether or not Sonya had spoken up for her when she met her at Sheree's house. Okay. And that's when Kandi was feeling away and feeling like Sonya, she was just like, she probably over there with Sheree and Marlo talking about me too. I said, Sonya's smart enough not to talk about Kandi, but she definitely is going to be there and she gonna laugh at the jokes that's made. Okay, or she might even agree with what the person is saying, but she ain't gonna say shit herself. So yeah, Kandi's upset. She didn't take up for me and all of that. Girl, they so tiring on these shows. They are so tiring on these shows. And again, Kandi said, you let her call me ghetto, and she was like, no, she didn't call you ghetto. She called your followers ghetto. Okay, so followers, are you guys offended by what Courtney said about you? On another scene, we see Sonya talking to Ross on FaceTime. Apparently, they're both out of town, and Deuce misses them. So, it's hard for them to be gone, especially at the same time, little Deuce, his mom and his dad are gone. So he misses them, and they feel a way about it. But Sonya's like, how are we going to have a baby if we ain't even home to raise the 3-4-year-old that we have at the house already? Deuce is probably around 4. Like, how we gonna do this? Maybe this ain't the best time to try to have a baby. But Ross was like, don't worry about it. Everything is gonna be okay. So then later we see Sonya meet with Sheree for dinner. And Sheree tells us that she's a grandma now. Okay, not with an R, with an L. Her daughter Cara, is that her name? Cara, she had a little baby girl, just as precious. Nothing like a new baby to come into the family and just bring some new light. Girl, that party was bomb though. Okay, Sheree said she want to know what the budget is, and Sonya said, yeah, there was no budget. It must have been a very nice party, because everybody is talking about how much money she must have spent. So, Sonya was just like, y'all ain't gonna keep on talking about me in this Party City shit. But anyway, Sonya tries to find out what happened with the fight with Martel and Sheree and Kenya. Sheree says, yeah, well, you know, Kenya, she started talking about him DMing her. She said it was 6 months ago. It turned out it was over 2 years ago, and it wasn't even really nothing. And then, of course, you know, when Martel tried to say something to Kenya, Kenya said that he was being aggressive, and here she go with that shit again. Well, you know, Sonya feels a way about that because, like I said, Kenya tried to say that about Ross last season. Okay, and so Sonya was just like, yeah, that's not cool. Like, you cannot keep on getting on this show and talk about a black man and keep continuing to call them aggressive, especially when they're not being that way. Okay, now I want you guys to understand me. Ross wasn't being aggressive, in my opinion. Martel was being aggressive, in my opinion. There's a difference there, okay? But of course, we lumping it together because it's Sheree and Sonya. So Sheree was like, well, Martel told Kenya he don't give a fuck if he tried to fuck her 2 years ago. And Sonya was like, oh my God, he said that? And she was just like, yeah, girl, that was kind of bad. Okay. But Sheree was just like, everybody talking about him, trying to talk to them, trying to talk to some other women. And nobody had no receipts, no nothing. Like, you gonna show me proof if you're gonna be coming and confronting me about something like this. Okay. Sheree don't know what to think about her friendship with Kenya. She said that, you know, they definitely had gotten to a better place, but this stuff with Martel has kind of making her second guess the friendship now. So she ain't really sure. She gonna have to sit and have a conversation with Kenya. All right, let's jump on over to Drew. So Drew gets home from Chicago. She must have went with the boys and maybe left the little girl home with Ralph. So she gets home and, you know, Ralph has got the house, got some flowers that he went to the grocery store and got and put them in some vases, and, you know, they cooking some stuff or making some things for the mom, you know, just trying to welcome her back home. And so they get there, you know, oh, baby, so happy to see you. You know, she's happy to see Ralph. Ralph is happy to see her, the kids, all of that. Okay, he asked her how it was, and she says, well, it was difficult. You know, her father is in a nursing home in Chicago. He has Alzheimer's. So if anybody has been with anybody in their family that has Alzheimer's, you know that can take a toll. She says she's worried about her mother, you know, being there, but having the father in the nursing home. And of course, he has his good days and his bad days, and, you know, he doesn't always recognize them. You guys know how Alzheimer's can be. He's in a wheelchair. She was like, I went to the nursing home and nobody was engaging him. He was just sitting there at the table in his wheelchair. So that upset her. And she said, but then they let her father hear her new song that she has, and he recognized her voice, and that made her happy. You know, she said that they have always connected, at least through her music. He used to sing back in the day, so he kind of lives vicariously through her. So she was happy that he recognized her voice. She's decided that she's going to get back into singing. She said after she sang for Sheree's birthday, you know, everybody was telling her, like, you sound so good. Like, why aren't you singing anymore? And, you know, she does act and she does reality and does all these other things. But yeah, singing is her first love. And why don't she sing anymore? So you know what? Maybe that is something that she's going to do. She's going to get back into her singing career. She's got this new song. It's called Already Know. Ralph produced it. And the producers asked them if they were in a good place. And she says, yes, they're in a great place right now. I was just like, and then a few weeks later, you guys announced that you was getting a divorce. Y'all been acting for us this whole time, ain't you, Drew and Ralph? Anyways, how was the party? And he said it was great. You know, he had a good time there. He even met his cousin, Courtney. I forgot that he said that him and Courtney was related. But yeah, and she was just like, oh, really? She was like, I heard that Kandi got into it with somebody, that, you know, that it got pretty serious. And he was just like, yeah, with Courtney. And she was just like, yeah, she's definitely a pitman because y'all love to fight. Y'all heard that little dig she threw in there? They glazed over that, but I heard that shit, Drew. She was like, the pitmans are crazy. I said, honey, I guess we gonna find that out as time goes on, aren't we? So later on, her and Ralph go to the studio and they're talking to the engineer / producer there, and just telling him, you know, that they're trying to get back out there, get her music career going. She's going to put out an EP. You know, she does have the one song, You Already Know, and she actually plays it for us. So, I mean, you know, it was a cute enough song, child. You a producer too? Yeah, he said he produced. She says, good. She needs to be produced. Okay, so then fine, you know. This is her happy place, the studio. This is actually reminiscent of when her and Ralph first got together. You know, they used to be in the studio together all the time. She wants to let the producer hear her song. Now we just listened to it on the CD or the recording or whatever, so I don't understand why we need to hear her singing live, but I think she just wanted us to hear her singing live so that we can know that she can actually sing. So she gets up and she sings it again, okay? And I mean, the guy was just like, oh yeah, that's cool, you know, that's a good song, you know, and if you guys do the acoustic version, and they were like, yeah, you know, we need to be on tiny desk. I was just like, let's just try to finish this one at this table right here first. All right, you guys, let's jump on over to Kandi. So we see Kandi and Todd. They are at her restaurant, Blaze. And, you know, when they get inside and sit down, Kandi was just like, you know, Todd did a very great job of putting this place together. But for whatever reason, this restaurant is not connecting like the rest of their restaurants are doing. So she's concerned. First of all, the location where she is not the best. I know that she said during the pandemic that area became a little bit more urban and it wasn't like in the hip and happening spots, but really where she is was never the hip and happening spots. Like the hip and happening spots is where her OLG is on Camp Creek. That's where all of the activity goes on. So where she is, I think that area, they were trying to make it be like a newer Camp Creek area, but it was already an established old area. That place has been a few restaurants. We've been to a couple of restaurants that it was, and for whatever reason, it's in the cut. It's kind of back. It's just sort of like, So not impossible to get to, but nothing over there that draws you over there. Nothing. Now, wasn't this supposed to be a steakhouse? I don't know if they're continuing it to be. I think this one's going to be her upscale steakhouse, okay, compared to her OLG and all. This was going to be her more upscale restaurant. But when Philip comes, you know, we see a couple of them from Don't You Want to Go to the Place to Be? I don't remember the words, you guys, but we see Philip and we see her cousin there, and Philip is telling them that they've got some new foods that they're going to let them taste. You know, Todd and Philip have gotten together and brought some new things to possibly go on the menu. Okay, and none of that stuff was really steakhouse menu food. So I was just like, maybe they're starting to bring it down. Maybe they're realizing that steakhouse, high, you know, upper crust type restaurant in that area is not going to do. So they bring this different food out. They're tasting it. Then her cousin Melvin shows up. He has his arm in a sling. Hey, how you doing? He's doing okay. Okay. But the producer comes and was like, are we going to talk about the elephant in the room? And they're like, what elephant? Okay, his arm. And Todd was like, well, we don't want to talk about it because it's still like a legal thing that's happening. So they didn't really want to go in depth, but we already know about the shooting. So, I mean, you might as well say that anyway. So Melvin ended up getting shot by one of the employees. Kandi said that the employee came to work and he was drunk. And apparently he worked in the kitchen under Melvin. Remember, Melvin was the head cook. And so, or head chef, I should say. The guy was drunk, and I guess Melvin was telling me he had to leave or something, and they got into a confrontation. They went outside, and then the guy shot Melvin in the arm. And so they're, I'm sure, pressing charges or whatever with that guy, so they didn't really want to talk about it, but we already knew that part from the news anyway. So that is the elephant in the room. And Kandi is just relieved that the business didn't really truly suffer even after the shooting. And I can tell that they're trying to get people to go over there because they even had a karaoke night over there recently and they was all there. Even Portia, Shamia, Kandi, they was all over there singing and having a good time and everything. So I can tell that they're trying to draw the crowds over there. And then you guys jumping over to Kenya. So we see Kenya. Kenya is meeting her friend Akilah and Akilah's little girl. Kenya and Brooklyn are meeting them at a little tennis, like a tennis court, where these two can play tennis and the two little girls can have a play date. Kenya says she loves Akilah. Okay, Akilah is a football player's wife. I don't know who she is, but because it was little. But I think Kenya was trying to get her in as a friend of the show, but I don't know how Courtney beat her out Okay, this Akilah must either be very boring or even worse than Courtney. But, you know, at least Akilah was not in the ads the way that Courtney and Manetta were. After the kids and them all play for a little while, they let the two little girls go off to play by themselves while they have a conversation. So Akilah was just like, so what's been going on? Well, Kenya was just like, oh, you know, it's just been a lot of good things happening. And Kenya's always been a little envious of Akilah and her husband because they look so happy and everything. And you know what? Kenya's ready to get back out there and boil, okay? And she's met somebody, you know, and she's happy. And the girl was just like, yeah, I can tell you just seem much happier now. Kenya does. I will give that to her. Kenya seems to be in a way better place than she has been in the past. And some people say it's because Portia's not on the show and she can kind of just be more of herself. That could be true, but I think that Kenya's just come out on the other side of the divorce, and she's got her daughter, and maybe she's just happy about life right now. And of course, a new man don't never make it worse, okay? I mean, they can, but at least in her case, she's saying that it isn't. But yeah, Kenya's crazy about this new guy, so we'll see him on the show, I'm sure. Akilah was just like, well, girl, that's fine, and if it don't work out with him, honey, it's plenty other men out there, honey. I can help you. Anyways, they start talking about Martel. And so Kenya gives her the whole breakdown of what happened at the conversation and why she ended up getting an argument with him and the whole thing about the DMs. And, you know, she had told Sheree that it was at least 6 months ago. But Kenya tells her that was her first time actually meeting him in person. And she was just like, girl, the way he was cussing you out, that was his first time meeting you? Yes, girl. So Kenya was just like, yeah, her and Sheree really need to talk because the way that they left things was not the greatest. But she don't know how far she gonna get because Sheree is dickmatized. And Akilah was just like, girl, they still get dickmatized? Oh, you can get some good dick in it. You can get that at any age, shit. Lastly, we see Sheree. Sheree goes to her warehouse for She by Sheree. Okay. And apparently this is the distribution place. Okay. So she just goes, she's just kind of checking on the girls, seeing what they doing. You know, they showing her, they just so happen to just be packaging up her sweatshirt. I said, girl, you know that's the only thing that you got. Okay. When she looking at the sweatshirt, the shit is all wrinkled and all of this. She was just like, oh, we sending this out to the people? And the girl was just like, yeah, well, I really would like to have steamed it, but you know, ain't nobody paying me to steam this, so this is the way it's been going. And then Sheree was like, well, yeah, we need to have it steamed. Oh, is that an extra charge? Yes. Do you know how much work it is to steam fucking sweatshirts? And then you got to do one they got 273 orders that's waiting to be filled. Yes, that's a lot of work. Yes, see, that's Sheree's problem. Sheree don't want to pay, which I've already heard a few times that Sheree is a little stingy when it comes to the money. I guess Sheree says shit, she got that big ass house she got to pay for, okay? She can't just be throwing that shit away frivolously. So anyway, while she's having this conversation with them, Kenya shows up. Oh my God, look at this. Come on, Sheree. You got your She by Sheree here. You know, are you here just observing? Or you just... No, Sheree, Sheree. No. I'm doing everything. Everything is on me. Okay. This is a bad trait of Capricorns. At least I know many Capricorn women like myself. I will admit that we have a hard time asking for help. I mean, it is almost impossible for me to ask somebody to help me. And that is such a terrible trait because you need people around you. You need community. And as a Capricorn, I understand that. But Capricorns, we have a tendency to be control freaks. And we have a tendency to sometimes think that, we're always right. But that's not even true. The funny thing about Capricorns is we know that we need to be able to ask people for help. And we know that we're not always right. But we don't want to admit that shit. Okay? So we do everything ourselves to the detriment of ourselves sometimes because we could be so much further advanced if we would just swallow our fucking pride and go ask somebody to help us, but we don't do it. And this is something that I'm working on myself with daily. But anyway, what you been up to, Kenya? Kenya said she just got back from LA. They went and filmed some of the Housewives from different shows. They filmed a commercial for DirecTV. We've seen that commercial. So they worked with the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dak Prescott boy was there. And, you know, Kenya was like, oh, he was something cute. And nothing popped off with them, but, you know, she just enjoyed the whole experience. And Sheree was like, well, that's good. You know, it's just good to keep good relationships going and all of that. And Kenya said, yeah, speaking of relationships, I hear that you're being claimed. And Sheree was like, no, we're just dating. I'm not being claimed. Okay, but we are seeing each other. But since we're talking about this, let's talk about the other night. So Kenya says that she didn't deserve to be yelled at by Martel the way that she was. And Sheree said, well, yeah, it didn't need to go there. Sheree was like, we are both Capricorns. We just be chilling. I was just like, okay, also in Capricorn's defense, Capricorn women and Capricorn men are a little bit different. I still love my Capricorn brethren. Don't get me wrong, but Capricorn men are extremely petty. Like, extremely petty. Anyways, what happened? So we start talking about this DM again. And Sheree was just like, girl, you was trying to say it was 6 months ago and it was over 2 years. And Kenya was like, no, I said at least 6 months. Okay, that she couldn't remember exact time. But she didn't never accept his DM because she didn't really like the way that he was treating Mel on Huntsville. So she just never, you know, even entertained it. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out, why is it a big deal now? But she wanted to make sure that Sheree knew. She didn't want Sheree to hear from the others, you know, anybody else, which, I mean, I understand that too. But Martel felt like he was ambushed that night. All right. And Sheree don't understand why Kenya, they had been around each other plenty of times, and Kenya has never said anything about the fact that Martel had DM'd her, and Kenya said that she had forgotten. Bullshit. Kenya, you saved that for the show. Okay, let's call a spade, y'all. She tells her that, you know, her and Martel has spoken about it and it wasn't flirtatious. Yeah, it wasn't flirtatious, but it was the opening the gate to possible flirtation. Y'all, Sheree, stop being dense. So then Kenya tells her, well, he was disrespectful to her. And she says, well, you were disrespectful to him. And Kenya was just like, no, don't be like that, Sheree. Okay, it's bros before hoes. Like, you can't say that. And I was just like, okay, so Kenya is trying to now wrangle Sheree into feeling the way that she felt when Kenya was matching Martel's aggression, if you ask me. So she was like, I wasn't rude to him. And Sheree was like, girl, what? You absolutely was rude to him. And Kenya was like, I didn't get rude or get mad with him until he tried to say that I accepted everybody's DMs. You know, he tried to call me a hoe. And Sheree was just like, girl, please. I mean, that wouldn't trigger me just because he said something like that. You just trying to show him in a bad light. But then Kenya said, so you don't think that he needs to be held accountable for the way that he spoke to me? And Sheree was just like, well, you should be held accountable for how you spoke to him. A man should never speak to a woman that way. And Sheree was just like, so it's okay for a woman to speak to a man that way? He was defending himself. But Kenya was just like, she didn't deserve to be spoken to that way. And Sheree was just like, and neither did he. So Sheree was just like, Kenya's always going to be upset about a black man defending himself, defending his new woman or whatever, because Kenya doesn't have a man herself. So then Kenya starts to say, no, Sheree, you just have a problem knowing when men talk to you crazy. Like, Bob was talking to you crazy in that car and you didn't even recognize it. You know, basically like, girl, you just let men run all over you. Abusive people, you should be able to notice the signs, and you don't never notice abuse signs. But Kenya tried to make it seem like everybody that was at the party was there with a man. You know, she's already put in a weird position because she don't have a man, or she didn't come with a man. So now she's already got to kind of defend herself. If some shit pop off, there's nobody else around there to do that for her. And, you know, it just makes everybody think that Kenya's doing something, but Kenya ain't doing nothing. She just trying to tell Sheree what happened. Then my shit cut off and I wasn't able to see the last minute of the show. So I don't know what was said after that, but I have a feeling that it was just more of the same. Kenya not admitting to the fact that she was pushing Martel's buttons. Martel acting a fool. And doing playing exactly into Kenya's hands. I wonder if today, after the fact, if he regrets that. He needed to be a different way, but Martel don't know how to be a different way. So, anyway, you guys, that is it. What y'all thought about the episode? All right, you guys, that is it. No imitations today. I'm just trying to get through the day, you guys. interesting day. But I'm gonna get on off of here, okay? Make sure that you thumbs up this video, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm itsrox. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, my rock stars. Bye.